Okay, the first step I've done here in installing the new seats is I took out all of this cabinetry and stuff that was over here on the edge. Set the new recliners in place, and then I cut a 1 inch thick this way, 1 inch, and 1 7/8 high shim to put on the slide out floor because it's not quite deep enough. The feet on the recliners will still hang over anywhere from a 1/2 inch to flush, depending on how I set it. But it should be fine. The way I'm going to anchor it should be fine. And this allows this baseboard to go up and not protrude too far out past the cabinet, so it won't look too bad. Then I don't have to worry about a raw end of it down there. I used number 14 by 2 3/4 inch self-drilling screws. And I've put in 1, 2, 3, and I've got 2 more to do. I'll do one here just to show you what's involved with that. Drilling a pilot hole. This slide out floor is steel framing tubing, steel tubing, and that's why I'm using the self-drilling screws, is to go through that tubing. And that's about all there is to it. That's the first step. This is probably the next stage here. I've done several things. Replaced the front toe kick here. Took peel and stick floor tile and laid it here, around here and over to there, to shim up flush with these metal plates that are on here. Some of the legs are going to sit on these metal plates and some wouldn't, so the pieces would be cockeyed. So I shimmed it up with that. Hopefully that should work okay and get it level. I just put it where the feet are going to sit, so the thing should set pretty level. Then I changed the ductwork, added on the 4-inch galvanized duct and 2 galvanized elbows, and extended the ductwork down to here where I'm going to put the 2 grills. And I framed up this cabinet skeleton here. This is going to take up the excess room I had from the new recliners. Gave me about a 5.5 inch gap here, so I'm going to fill that with a cabinet and put a wider top on it. This is going to be a little more stable than it was before. This piece was a little wobbly. Also ran some insulation board where it won't be visible once the furniture's in, and once the furniture's in place I'll put some more on the floorboard. There's not a lot of insulation in that slide out, so I want to take advantage of every chance I get. I did have a little issue here where it was too tight for the duct to come through, but fortunately I've got one of these that it's a great tool, Sawzall, that I was able to reach in there and cut it out. Works great. Just kidding. At this point I've got everything roughed in. You can see the 2 extended ducts running across the back, and then that blue conduit is a piece of Romex inside of it that I ran off of the microwave circuit to power 2 outlets. I'm going to put one up there. It'll be just above the arm on one of the recliners. I'm going to put a combination USB 120 volt outlet there. And let's see, I've got the back boards up. I've got a little trim to do over in that corner. Waiting for the multiple coats of finish on that little top there to dry. See if also down here you can see the finished duct grills are installed, and I'll also put another combination 120 volt outlet USB power right in here for right above the arm of the other recliner. You can kind of get an idea of how the ductwork runs through that little chase there. And I think we're about ready. Once I get the top on and the rest of the back panels done there, I'll be ready to install the recliners. Before installing the recliners, I took the feet loose here. You can see how the foot hangs over slightly over the front of the framing. I took this out, took that self-tapping screw out, and reversed those, and that moves the foot back a little bit so that when the frame hangs over a little bit on the slide out deck, the foot will still be fully on the floor on the slide out. Securing the recliners in place was a bit of a challenge. What I ended up doing was if you can see the frame, this is the rear frame of the seat. And I took an angle bracket. It's about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. Bought it in the Simpson tie lumber area at Lowe's. It's pretty cheap. It's like 60 cents, 50 cents a piece, something like that. But anyway, I put the seats in place and marked the locations of where I wanted to put these brackets so they wouldn't hit these metal plates. I don't know if you can see it, this metal plate, I didn't want to intersect that. And the screws I used were real short. I think they were 3/4 of an inch long, so that they didn't go down in and mess up rollers or any of that stuff. But anyway, I took the bracket, put the chairs in place, the recliners in place, marked the locations of these brackets, took them back out, and then attached the bracket to the bottom of this rear rail so that it stood up in the front here and gave me a flat square shoulder to secure to. Then I reinstalled the units. Also while I was doing that, I on the front here, on the front rail, if I can show this, right here, this front rail, I drilled a couple of holes down through here so that I could run screws into this lumber that I added to the front earlier, so it didn't go into the deck at all. It went into that extension. That held the front wheel real good. And on the back here, when I reset them, I took another angle bracket and I was able to screw down into the deck to secure it down, and then put two self-drilling screws through the back to tie the two together, and it seems to work pretty good. We'll see if it holds up. I hope it will. And by the way, to secure those down in there, you can see there's not much clearance in here. I use this mini air ratchet. It was fairly cheap. I bought it online years ago. I don't remember what I paid for it. I think I got it at Harbor Freight. But it would have been virtually impossible to put those screws in if I didn't have this. I guess you could have put them in there maybe with a ratchet or a stubby screwdriver or something. It would be tough. But this whole operation of securing these seats was the most difficult part for me of all the install. Here's the finished product with the slide extended. You can see the backs come over the bottom of the window shade there, probably a couple of inches, maybe 3 inches. When these are zero clearance recliners, but that only refers to when you flip out the leg supports. The back drops straight down, and then when you actually push out on the bottom to lay the recliner flat, it does move back towards the wall. But when you pull the release, it'll drop down below the window and doesn't interfere with the blinds. You can see over here, that's the combination USB port 120 volt outlet, and then the two AC grills below it, and over there is the other combination USB port and 120 volt outlets. Let's see if I can show you the operation here. If you watch the back of this thing as I pull the lever here to extend the feet, you can see how this actually moves forward and drops down, so that when the recliner is flattened out, it actually misses the window. And clears everything just fine. That's what it looks like with both seats reclined. You can get an idea of the walkway space here. It's still reasonable. I'd say it's, well, we can measure here and see. It's about 14 inches. Of course, that's not without any footsies dangling over. Of all the projects I've tackled on this coach, this is probably the most intensive. And I think I have about, I'm going to guess about 30 hours involved in the removal and install.